Still adjusting my chair. Happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome to your therapy session, the Tuesday live talks with me, Dr. Laura Dabney, relationship psychiatrist, rolling out the red carpet here for you in case you're too afraid, worried, concerned about picking up the phone and going to see somebody. I want to bring help to your home, to you in this fashion, and hopefully, bring you a little bit of peace. When you are ready, you can give us a call, 757-340-8800, and we'll be glad to talk about all this and more with you further. So this month, I'm covering the possibility, the ever so slight possibility that you may be the one causing all the tumultuous relationships around you. And by the way, I just want to say, good on you if you're even considering this. I can't tell you how important it is, really essential, for people to have that insight to even consider their role in their problems into getting help. If you don't have that insight, I can't help you. Other people can't either. So if you're just, even by watching this, even by thinking about it, even just stepping outside and looking at your behavior patterns, you're on your way to a good relationship. Okay. So last week I talked about the generalities, the signs, so to speak, of your relationships or your behavior patterns that may hint at you being the problem. And in some, those come down to either being an overreactor or an underreactor. Okay. Either of those aren't that great. We prefer you to have a combination of, I don't know if this is, I think we're going down the wrong path here, but we want you to be able to react and not react as the situation requires. Okay, so we want you to be active sometimes and passive sometimes. We want you to be able to pick between those two. The people who cause relationship problems tend to be one or the other, and sort of stuck in one or the other, so they don't have the other to draw on, and therefore there's problems that develop because you're not picking the right one. Okay, so let's talk today about overreactors. Okay, so if you're an overreactor, this is what you might see in yourself. So overreactors tend to value doing things as opposed to not doing things, being really basic today. So doing things, being active, taking action, getting in there, working, struggling, fighting, standing up for oneself, all those action words are, I would say, overvalued. Of course, there's value in all of those, but an overreactor sees value only in those, as opposed to the more passive stance, which they see as basically all wrong. They sort of black and whited this. It's always better to do something about it than to sit, think, plan, organize, contemplate, feel. Okay? It's as if they just do this, and this is a much better approach than this. So the goal then isn't to pick the best option for the situation. The goal is to pick an action item. So you're putting a square peg in a round hole. You're going to pick an action item for that situation. They're not able to ever say, or rarely say, this might be better solved by doing nothing. That just doesn't come up because they've made that something bad. Doing nothing is, I hear it all. Doing nothing is weak, wimpy. Sometimes people say it's feminine, childish, lazy, something all negative. All right. So if you find yourself going, yeah, getting in there, action's always the way to go, and I'm not going to back down, and all that overreactor may be you. So what do I see the most? The problems I see the most with overreactors are, for starters, they tend to fight fire with fire, right? Someone comes at them inappropriate, whatever range of inappropriate it is, and they pick from the action basket, right? They just that, okay, well, this all my tools here, picking one of those. Hatchet, machete, machine gun, boom, I'm going to go after that person. Okay, the problem is, think about it. Someone's all head up and mistreating you. By fighting back, I mean, maybe you'll subdue them, but it's not really a solution. You're just overpowering them. So either they're going to overpower you or you're going to overpower them. It's not a solution. It's not an intimate solution anyway. Or they're going to keep fighting. You're going to keep fighting. It's going to escalate and it's going to be a bigger argument. So it's not a practical solution for most problems. Ideally, if someone comes at you, we want to put up say it with me, boundary. And boundaries is a little bit more from the passive basket. One of the best boundaries, most effective and easiest, is to walk away. Nothing says a statement quite like going, okay, I'm out of here. This isn't even worth my time. Just say that. I'm just saying that's the message you're giving. If someone's screaming at you or coming at you physically, you move. You should move. You're protecting yourself. You're giving a message. Or if you want to put up a verbal boundary, something very simple along the lines of something from you, not attacking them. This is making me uncomfortable. I need to remove myself. I'll try having this discussion when you're calmer, or tomorrow, or at lunch, or whatever. Right? By doing that, it's a much more passive approach. You're saying you're going to remove yourself, but it doesn't escalate the problem. And you're not invading anybody by attacking them. Okay? So that's an option to consider if you are a overreactor. All right. The other thing I see overreactors do is when they bring up a problem, the majority of time, it ends up being an argument. So they have difficulty just bringing up a problem and having it be a conversation or a good outcome or a calm outcome. So why is that? Well, overreactors tend to overreact. Overreactors tend to attack the other person. So the other person is doing something that you don't like. They're not necessarily, not like the first example where they're doing something inappropriate, but they're, maybe they are chronically late, or maybe they, I don't know, make jokes at your expense without realizing it, or something like that, right? It's something that they're not aware of that's bothersome. So you go to tell them and it ends up in a fight. But that's because you tell them, if you're an overreactor, you tell them by attacking them verbally. You shouldn't do that. Everybody knows you shouldn't be late. Why are you always late? That's rude to be late, or something like that. That's attacking them. Now, what happens when you attack somebody? If they're not listening here, they're going to attack you back, or they're at least going to get defensive. And either of those examples don't lead to a good discord, do they? They lead to trouble, fighting, or bad feelings, or a blow up. Okay, so I always recommend the I feel X when you do Y. In any case where you have to tell somebody something that's going to be difficult to hear or is painful for you to say, the best approach is to lead with your feelings and give a brief example or situation. So I feel annoyed when you're late because it feels like you're not respecting my time. So simple, right? Person's not getting on the defensive because you're saying it's a problem within you, which it is. People can be late. There's no rule against that. Not breaking a law. Okay, but it bothers you. So that's the point. So you have to put that out on the table. I can't talk today. Out on the table, right? Not attack them. So I feel X when you do Y. Much higher chance that conversation is going to go well. Right. So overreactors. What else do they do? So they tend to also get busy instead of feeling. So what do I mean by that? We talked a lot in here about how endings of a relationship, endings of any kind of job, of your parenting, the empty nest thing, right? Endings bring grief. It isn't really much different than if somebody died. That's, of course, an ending. But there's other endings we all go through all the time. And if you're an overreactor, you actually might get busy, right? Either working harder, doing busy work, traveling, doing something to avoid the feeling. You won't give yourself the downtime to process the feelings, right? Because remember, you only have that one basket that you value, doing. So you do to bury the feelings, because sitting with the feelings, again, is in that basket of passivity, or whatever, however you've named it, and you've labeled that as bad. So you've learned from me what happens when you bury feelings. They come up in a very toxic form later, typically in some kind of a blow up. So when you least expect it, something blows up, and somebody in your life or in your situation is going to go, what the heck? Where'd that come from? Right? So problems. So if you are an overreactor, there is hope for you. You simply have to help yourself learn to value passivity, taking less action, feeling more, thinking more, right? We want you to have a combination of being able to be active, but also being able to be passive as the situation calls for. All right. So it's good chatting with you today. Again, if I can help you further, the number here is 340-8800. Sorry, 757-340-8800. I'm going to spell this out a little bit more detail on Instagram over this next week. And next week, we're going to talk about the underreactors. All right. I'll catch you then. Bye.